Lords,
My Lords, I'm delighted to have listened to Baroness Prentice give an absolutely wonderful oration and to demonstrate how the one-in, one-out principle might usefully be applied on Wednesday. Now, my Lords, a deal isn't a deal till it's done, and regardless of what happened before July, we need to understand that Labour had a political choice. Either put Britain's national financial security interests first, or hold on to that naive but mistaken high-minded soft power illusion which the government thought it had bought last summer by paying to give away those islands. How easy it must have seemed on those warm evenings last summer amongst the government's opinion formers, sipping Proseccos and Negronis in those North London townhouses, you know the ones, where they've knocked together the breakfast room into the kitchen, put in an American-style fridge, and those step-free bifold doors out onto the terrace. After one too many, perhaps, they thought, after all, it was rather a good idea to give up land, paying to give it up, and then asking permission to use it from our enemies, having been kidded by their learned friends, that international law required it, from a case in which the UK wasn't even a participant, craving approval from marine and maritime bodies that have no nexus over sovereignty and have no business pushing us around. For what we see here, and I thank the Library to point it out so clearly, is that the legal basis for giving up the Chagos Islands is not a judgment, but an advisory opinion. The government is playing by absurd rules that defy logic or common sense on what aren't even rules anyway. Now, I'm not a property lawyer, but I know these simple truths, that freehold is best, avoid restrictive covenants because the covenant holder can have you over a barrel, possession is only 9/10 of the law, and when you transfer land to somebody else, it's customary to be paid for it. Now, in my career, I've always ensured that lawyers are on hand, but not on top. But not on this government. Land and real estate is about selling a dream. But Labour's lawyers have bought us a nightmare, because we have benefited for centuries from strategic land held on both sides of the Suez Canal, in Cyprus, as my noble friend Lord Bellingham has reminded us, and also in the Chagos, that support our soft trade and hard power. Now, giving up one side of the Suez would always be unwise in any circumstance. But who would have anticipated the wrong-headedness as being exposed so quickly as we contemplate the Middle East tinderbox? This deal generationally weakens us, an indefensible move from those in charge of our defences. Because giving up land is bad enough, not to being paid for it makes it worse, and worse still, over the heads of the Chagossians. Without their consent or consultation, their land has been taken and passed around as a chattel by a Prime Minister who claims to have their human rights as the golden thread that runs through his actions. What double standards! And in times like this, once again, as my noble friend reminds us, paying billions to give away land so another country can pay off its debts when we haven't got enough money to give our pensioners the winter fuel allowance beggars belief. Then there are the conditions and covenants. I mean, sharing military secrets is bad enough, but the Library tells us that the activities related to the military base will comply with international law. That old chestnut again. Can the Minister tell us when an advisory opinion becomes a statement of the international law, and who will determine the law when we do want to contemplate military actions at pace? My Lords, when the facts change, you need to alter your position. And in the last few months, the Middle East, boy, have the facts changed. We must not ratify this deal. Let's be clear. The government is acting as an enemy within. For those who are prepared to trade a mere advisory opinion into a legally binding treaty that will tie our hands on the flimsy pretext that we might avoid criticism from the usual suspects, including our enemies. It gives me no pleasure to say, but if this deal does get done, history will show it was at this moment that Labour showed even more how out of touch they are. In saloon bars up and down our nation, this is the moment when everybody will see that Labour's values are not British values, because it weakens us, because this deal weakens us nationally, economically, financially and militarily, to please that nebulous cohort of judges and arbitrators in foreign lands who must think we have gone mad to swallow their advisory twaddle. Baroness Liddell says, hey, it's a good deal for the Mauritians, and she's right there. This deal has made Labour has made a choice to prefer the views of the Prosecco wing of their party over the pie and proper pint common sense socialists who know a dud when they see one. And, my lords, this is a dud.